Sessions live on YouTube and your favorite podcast platforms. It's the #1 destination to learn about snowmobiling, network with other sledders, and have an awesome time doing it. We'll meet other snowmobilers that share your passion and show your fan photos along the way. Snowmobile Sessions Live. Enjoy the ride.
This episode of Snowmobile Sessions Live is brought to you by Energy POWERSPORTS. They're Oakville's full-line BRP dealer with sales and service to all BRP models and so much more. Energy POWERSPORTS always has the fun in store with a wide selection of clothing, parts, and accessories for all your power sports passions. Make Energy POWERSPORTS your source for Can-Am off-road, ATV, and side-by-sides. Can-Am on-road Riker and Spider, including the sporty F3S. Sea-Doo watercraft and Switch pontoon boats. And Alumacraft fishing boats powered by Mercury Marine. Put yourself on a Manitou pontoon or a Widescape stand-up snowmobile. Energy POWERSPORTS is the home for Lynx and Ski-Doo snowmobiles for the entire family. Do you feel the energy? Energy POWERSPORTS, 879 Cranberry Court, Oakville, Ontario, or online, energypowersports.ca. Sports. 879 Cranberry Court, Oakville, Ontario, or online. Oh, someone's listening to the YouTube stream on it. 879 Cranberry Court, Oakville, Ontario, or online. Oh, someone's listening to the YouTube stream on it. 879. Do you have your YouTube open, Michelle?
No, I don't. I just looked.
Oh, that's weird because it's coming back into the stream. Anyway, we have Michelle Salt here. She's an Olympic athlete and a Ski-Doo snowmobile ambassador. How are you doing tonight?
I am great. How are you?
Very, very good. And we're talking off air, and I was saying about how quickly does the chat think that I'm going to say something really politically incorrect about disability, et cetera, et cetera. So
yeah.
I apologize in advance.
No such thing.
So tell me a bit about how you went from, your passion of snowmobiling and ended up being an Olympian and a Ski-Doo ambassador.
Well, retired Paralympian. I grew up on a game farm. We had little sleds and dirt bikes and all of that. And then got into a motorcycle accident, lost my leg above the knee, transitioned into being a national sport athlete in snowboarding, which was the most, aside from downhill ski racing, probably the most extreme sport I could find and something I loved to do prior. And then when I retired in 2018, I was like, what does this look like? What do I do now? I was like, I'm going to get on a backcountry snowmobile. Thought it was going to be a lot easier than it was. Very humbling sport, to say the least. Yeah. Did
you snowmobile before, as a youth, that kind of thing? Anything that extreme?
I got into, I lost my leg in a motorcycle accident. So I'd say I've always had a love for motorsports and dirt biking and speed. So the next best thing was finding a winter sport that wasn't snowboarding, because I was so done with snowboarding. I'm like, yeah, I'm taking a very long break. It took a 5-year break. But no, I had never really been on a backcountry snowmobile, or really any, we had an old one growing up that we used to, pull GT ski racers behind, but nothing like that.
Pretty wild. No, that's cool. And what did you find? Like, you snowboarded before the accident? Is that right?
Yeah.
So how different was it getting back into your life again after?
I didn't realize how difficult everything would be as an above the knee amputee. I would often say to myself, I'm just going to put my leg on and just run right out of this place and resume my life the way that it was. But not having that knee joint, not being able to put more than 50% weight through my leg, it was, everything was difficult. Stairs and just even fatigue from walking. Like, I burn 80% more energy than a regular person just by walking. So, and then you put me in the backcountry and I'm trekking through snow, or, trapped under my snowmobile. And then that's a whole different story. Like there's definitely some adjustments that need to be made and some challenges when it comes to snowmobiling.
Now, did you have any support from other riders or other people, even snowboard athletes in the same condition as you, that actually help you with your journey?
There are very few above the knee backcountry snowmobilers out there. Mike Schultz, we had briefly chatted about Mike earlier. He was the closest thing to. He's, above the knee amputee, a snowcross racer. That's how he lost his leg. And it's different though. Like we know it's different, right? So just figure out like how I was going to throw my leg over the sled and do wrong foot forward, things like that. Jesse Cook, he's from Minnesota, I think. He's the only backcountry above the knee amputee that I know, and you wouldn't even know. He's so amazing, but he sleds a lot different than I do. He uses a different leg, and so I'd say there's been support for sure. Nadine Overwater was amazing. She was the first person to get me out there, and she taught me how to essentially like get up on one ski and to always be standing, and to I've learned to shift my hips instead of throwing my leg over, to jump from side to side. And that was one of the things she said, is you don't necessarily need to do that. Like, you just learn to shift your body mass and the sled will go, especially with skidoos these days, right? Like the machines are just amazing. You put that input in and it just goes.
But you still don't have a lot of weight yourself. So I see that even, and you said you have to work 50% harder. What's that like? Would you say that you're, I can't say competitive, but would you say that you are riding as you should be, whether you have one leg or two legs, that kind of thing right now? Or do you still feel like there's a little bit of a separation there?
So I'm very competitive. And when I see other people out there and I'm not at their level, this is season 6 for me, I get frustrated because I'm like, why, after 6 seasons, why am I not there yet? And then I have to remind myself that, again, when I'm moving, I can't jump from side to side. That's just, my leg is heavy, and it throws my balance off. I also am always my leg, and I'll show you right now, my leg, which we had spoke about, but this doesn't bend. So it's the highest PSI that I can put it at. And so this is a Fox mountain bike shock. There's one in the ankle as well, but it doesn't bend. So I can't really sit, because if I sit with my legs straight, then I'm not really on the seat anymore, right? I'm at the very edge of the seat, because if you think about, having those straight legs, it doesn't work. So I'm always standing, and I'm not really bending my other leg either. So it makes for some challenges. Like side hilling took me forever to figure out. Obviously, feathering my brake has been the trick, which most people use. But I don't look graceful. There's nothing beautiful there whatsoever. I'm stuck. They call me the fainting goat, because I tip over on flat, because I don't have that weight. I'm just tipping everywhere and stuck all the time. But last year was an important year for me. I went back to a naturally aspirated, and I really learned how to dial everything in, so I can keep up now.
That's very cool. Grab that leg again, if you don't mind, and just show the shocks on that. I just made it big. I kind of put it down. So there's 2 mountain bike shocks in there.
Yeah. So I have 2 of these knees, but the other ones have floats, and this one has the DHX. So as you can see, my foot is in the boot. My foot also has a mountain bike shock in it too, for that ankle articulation. But yeah, DHX.
And it looks like it's got, so that pivot rolls in the top. It goes up and down, does it? And that's how your knee bends?
It is, yeah. But for sledding, it's because I'm always standing and putting weight through my leg that it has to be as high PSI as I can put it, or that knee is constantly giving out on me and buckling on me. So it moves like maybe to here, and that's it when it comes to sledding. Whereas snowboarding, I'm, squatting and essentially maxing out this rail. Sledding, the leg hardly moves.
And how far does your upper leg, your thigh, go into that?
Yeah, so I'm wearing a socket that I just switch out on each leg. So the socket is what holds the leg in, like on the leg. So I just attach the socket to here. I am quite high above the knee, so I don't have a lot of femur, which means I don't have a lot of stability or strength left in my residual limb.
Oh, I got you. And that's got to be tough too. So you feel it all through your thighs and your core pretty bad, I take it, right?
Yeah, I would say with sledding, I am using my arms probably a lot more than most people. Like well, for most things, it's like my core and my arms and shifting that weight, even though I don't have much of that weight on the right. So if you're gonna follow me or find me tipped over somewhere on the mountain, it's gonna be most likely on that left side because I have a lot more weight on that left side.
So you snowmobile, we know that you're a snowboarder and you're an Paralympic athlete for snowboarding. You also skydive. How many legs do you have? Do you have specific legs for each sport?
I do. I should have brought out my whole collection. Some people collect like coins and shot glasses. For me, it's legs and feet.
It's like high heels.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. So I have a few legs. I have a waterproof one that I use mainly for paddle boarding, because the leg that I'm wearing right now, which I can probably just flip it around like this. Yeah. This is my drink holder.
You could actually hone out the heel so you could slide that in.
Yeah. So it's hard
can I ask you I'm very naive when it comes to this, and I don't know anybody that has this disability. How do you put the leg? Is it like a twist lock type thing that it attaches?
Yeah. So for my everyday walking leg, I have a rotator that rotates the leg so that I can put different shoes on. When I drive with a left gas pedal. So this leg, I essentially will fold behind my other leg, so that it's not in the way. But yeah, it's a rotator. And then I just use generally the same socket, which is custom to my leg. It's casted to the shape of my leg. So that is not universal. I can't just switch that out. That is custom to me. And yeah, I have, 5 or 6 different legs. The leg I'm wearing right now costs about $80,000 Canadian. Wow. And yeah,
people think snowmobiles are expensive.
I know. It's a microprocessor leg that knows my gait patterns, so it swings with me, allowing me to use less energy. It also knows when I'm going downhill, so it mimics a real knee and it slowly releases. It's pretty fancy for sure, but that's the cost of I guess quality of life.
Does insurance cover that, or is that totally out of your own pocket?
So my first leg, we fundraised $100,000 for all of my legs because I wanted to get back into snowboarding. Yeah. And then this leg, I got lucky and this leg was covered through insurance, but the government doesn't cover it. And I'd say it's about 60-40, well, maybe even less, 50-50 insurance companies that cover it. Depends on your plan.
Wow. That's pretty crazy. Yeah. So, and again, I missed the number. How many legs do you actually own?
Probably 5 or 6. I have a airsoft machine gun leg that works.
I seen that. We got a picture of that coming up.
Yeah. And then I have a blade like Oscar Pistorius, the guy who made it to the Olympics. I have a running blade, which I don't really use because it's hard for me to run. And then, yeah, a couple of these legs, and then a ton of just different feet, feet for different things. Like this foot can go up to 2.5 inches for heels. So technology's come a long way. I've been an amputee for about 12 years, and it's pretty incredible to see how much has changed even in the last 12 years.
Yeah, well, you'd said the one that you wear actually has electronics in it, like it adjusts to your gait. Do you think
Yes.
AI is going to be a real advantage one day on this?
Maybe. I don't know. It's really hard to say. You look at arms and they've come a long way. Now, they're connected right to your nerves, and you're essentially, you think about it and it does it. And we're not even close with legs. So I don't know. It's really hard to say.
That's wild. Are you involved in any support groups or user groups that are actually, helping other people, but also in development of things like this?
Not development, support groups with, obviously with the new amputees, yes, but it would be great. Like, sign me up. I'd be a guinea pig, 100%. I think it's really cool what they're doing with like regeneration of limbs, and then also transplants. Like, I don't know how I would feel about having someone else's leg attached to me, but if it means getting back to, a portion of who I was, or whatever that looked like prior to my accident, I think I'd be okay with that.
It does though sound like you're good with it though. Like it sounds like you're very content. You're not missing you're not missing out on anything. You actually do more than most people I know. I'm not even going to say women, because more than most guys I know. I mean, you're out there and you're riding, and the pictures are going to show justice. I get winded when I get stuck in a small snowbank and you're buried. I mean, is it tough to walk through the snow, or are you using a lot of your upper body strength when you're crawling around like that? Or yeah,
I'm Terry curl. Like, even I think it was last weekend we rode, and it was pretty deep. And I was crawling to go help. So it's exhausting. Like, I have to take breaks every 10 feet, I'm taking a break. So it's tough. There's times where I'm needed, and times where people understand that I do have a limitation. They're just like, we don't need you. You're good right there. But that's, also having a snowmobile, that's the benefit, is it can get you close. It can take you to these places that, with snowboarding, it was tough. I had to walk a lot, and sledding, that's not the case.
No, that's right. That's very true. And where are you from? Are you Canadian or US?
Yeah, I'm in Calgary, Alberta.
All right. Okay, perfect. I wasn't too sure. So, and then Corey had asked that as well. So I'm just going to go in the chat and see who's in the house here tonight. Corey Brock said, WTF, where's the flakes? And Just Fly Low's in the house. He said, good evening, everyone. Tim V's back for another week. Brian Lynn said that the lake's freezing up again where he is up in Northern Ontario. And what else we had here? Going through your Bobby O. He's in there now. Nathan M. Saw my latest video. Sucks to lose a drone. It does. I almost forgot about it till you brought it up. Casey Zimmer says, hi, Michelle, with a big heart. And Outdoor Hobby Guy says, good evening, rainy evening, gents. And the UP Copper Harbor has no snow, and it's miserable, Nathan M. says. William McCleary was snowmobiling in Halliburton Forest last December 28th after the dump, but not this year. However, it is setting up. And Bobby O says your house looks very cozy, and he gives you the thumbs up. Yeah, for sure. And a lot of Merry Christmas is going on in the chat. Someone that said that you are a trooper. I'm missing some other stuff. There's a bunch of compliments that were popping up, but they've flown past. So I love people who overcome adversity in life. Well done. There's another one there. Corey says they make some crazy legs. They certainly do. Your leg is pretty much the most awesome one that I've seen. I watched the Amazing Race. Was it the Canada one? And there was a paraplegic on with both legs were artificial. And he had a few different ones for did you watch that?
So an amputee. Yeah, amputee. Was it the first season? Was this years ago?
No, it was just like last season. It was like the season before last. Yeah. It was crazy. He had a lot of different legs for the different tasks and stuff, and just to see what he went through and what he did, and rivaled what I could do even. So yeah. Tim V says, good for you, Michelle, and on a ski-doo as well. So yeah, if you guys have any questions for Michelle, make sure you post them in the chat. We'll get to them, and away we go. But yeah, so when you're doing these sports, like let's talk about your Olympic. Was it always a dream to be in the Olympics, and how did you get involved in that?
So there's the Olympics and there's the Paralympics. So the Paralympics run 2 weeks after the Olympics. Paralympics are for people with physical disabilities. So you have different categories. You have amputees, you have spinal cord injuries, paraplegics, then you have cerebral palsy as well as MS. So there's a bunch of different categories and classifications to get into the Paralympics. I had mentioned before, there was no way I was getting to the Olympics for any able-bodied sport, not even close. I did lose when I was younger, and so if anything, I would have focused on that. But life went on. I became an adult and focused a lot more on adulting and working and stuff like that. So when I lost my leg at 26, I right away saw the opportunity, and my accident was very bad. I hit a guardrail head first, did cartwheels in the air and hit the guardrail again. So I broke almost every bone in both my legs. I had broke my hips, my pelvis, L4, L5 vertebrae, and severed my femoral artery. So I was bleeding to death, and I got rushed to the hospital, was on life support for 7 days, in the hospital for 5 months. And when I came off life support and they had told me about my leg, I was like, oh, now I can go to the Paralympics. And everyone's like, okay, you're heavily medicated. We'll come back to this. And I'm like, no, like this is it. I'm going. And I'd been snowboarding since I was, 13 years old for 13 years. And I was like, yeah, I'm going to go to the Paralympics in 2014. There was some doubt. There was quite a bit of doubt because it was 2.5 years after my accident, and I had broke so much in my body, and also, had all kinds of hardware holding me together. And so everyone was like, let's be realistic. Let's get you to the 2018 games. And, I worked really hard, and in 2014, I became Canada's first ever female Canadian Paralympic snowboarder. So it was cool. It was cool to get there. But yeah, then obviously, the work had to begin. And so 14 World Cup medals at the 2018 games. Fell a little short of a podium, finishing 4th in border cross and 5th in bank slalom. But it was incredible. It was such a cool opportunity, and I knew that I had a lot of work to do. It's border cross is like it's something.
Oh yeah, I love watching it. It's a crazy sport, right? And you talk about grueling. You want full movement, and you're fresh. You're basically fresh into this, even at 2 years. That's pretty crazy, but. I think a lot of people would just have laid there and went, it's over, game over. And here you are with aspirations of doing something with this, and you seeing the silver lining. And how do you recommend others maybe going through the same thing? What is your advice?
I would have, don't get me wrong, I still had a lot of dark days and struggles, and it was a challenge getting back to being independent, but I would often tell myself that this isn't forever. This pain, like I had to grieve my old life, right? It's like losing someone. And that was tough. And then not knowing what it looked like, but I would just say, this isn't forever. Something good is coming out of this. I know something good is coming out of this. And I would just carry on and meet other people and connect. I connected with other snowboarders, and my first World Cup was in Lake Tahoe, and I was so bad. I was taking out volunteers and bee netting. Like, it was terrible, right? But every time I was on snow and I was working at it, I got better and better. And they put me on the prospect team when I could hardly even get down the hill, because they're like, you have the heart and we know that you're going to go somewhere. And that was it. I never strayed from that goal of getting there. And so my advice is, like, to anybody with a fresh disability or injury or whatever that looks like, a setback, is that pick a goal and let that goal be your motivation. And that was it for me. It was always to get to the Paralympics.
That's cool. And then how did things unfold after that? Like, you started snowmobiling after your snowboarding. You kind of hung up the board and hung up the Olympic Paralympic dream there, so to speak. How did that progress to getting in? Were you looking for something else to do? I see there's a picture of a motocross bike as well. Where does it all fit in the whole puzzle?
Yeah, so I started dirt biking not long after my accident, just because I wanted to get back on a bike, but I didn't want to get back on a street bike. So I understood the risk. I didn't want to do that again to my family. The sledding came into play after I had retired. I could lie and say that I was in a great place when I retired, but the truth is I went in ranked 3rd overall in the world. I was Canada's podium potential athlete, the most marketed Paralympian. And, I finished 4th, and it was awful. I was in such a bad place because you put so much into one event, 4 years into one event, and you don't reach the podium. And it's hard. They call it the Olympic blues for a reason. So I needed to get myself out of this funk that I was in. And it was 2019, that season, that I decided, I think it was 2017, I jumped on a sled with Megan Render for the first day. And I was like, I hate this. This is not my thing. This is not my sport. It's so difficult. I'm tipped over all the time. And then 2009, I was like, I need to give this, or 19, I was like, I need to give this another chance. And I, had a few days before I met up with Nadine. And once you kind of like figure out how to counter steer and like carve and get up on one skier, like, this is the best thing ever. It just doesn't really compare to snowboarding, and the places it takes you and the people. And it was just, from the moment that it clicked, I was like, okay, yeah, nothing else matters.
That's awesome. Do you run into our friend Blair Morgan when you're at ski events?
Yeah, so I've never actually met Blair, but we've spoke, and I'm trying to get him to come out and ride the backcountry. He hasn't rode the backcountry since his accident, so that would be so amazing. Last year we kind of had it lined up and then it didn't work, but it'd be great to go to CKMP, and Carl and Blair have a really good relationship. So yeah, that's the goal. I would love to see that happen, but yeah, we'll have to get some funding or something together to make that work.
Yeah, he's a great guy. We've had him on this show, and I run into him at the trade shows all the time, and I think you two would be like 2 peas in a pod kind of thing. So hopefully you can get him out there and in a way. Do you have any other collaborations or partnerships as a Ski-Doo ambassador that you want to share?
I work with Mountain Lab. I absolutely love their stuff. Last weekend I was out with some friends, and A-arm was gone, totally broken. And I used some of their ski straps to hold the A-arm together. And so, Mountain Lab, as well as Highmark, can't stress enough how important it is to have, the gear and to know how to use the gear. That's so important. Having a bag is really for us when it comes to, being buried and for the people that are with us so they can find us easier. But yeah, I've seen in 6 years, I've seen some pretty scary stuff out there. And just, again, if you're going to ride the backcountry, whether it even just be for like a weekend, get the Avi gear, jump on Highmark's website and get the gear. It's the best investment you'll make when riding the backcountry.
Yeah, and what is different about how you ride the backcountry to say, you know, someone like Nerona preparing for a backcountry ride?
Honestly, I don't think it's much different.
It's not,
we are
not,
no.
you don't
like
have to have the back. You don't have to have a backpack of like 3 or 4 legs there for, you know, for climbing out of stuff. Or
no, last year I had a lot of leg challenges. My leg kept breaking in the backcountry, and I would, at that point, I can sit because I can't use my leg anymore. So I did a lot of one-legged snowmobiling last year, which is sketchy in itself. But no, I'd say overall, like most people don't know until I start walking. Most people don't know that I'm missing a leg. I've got to the point now where I'm consistent enough that my pant leg's always down. It's not something that I really show because I do want to be treated like everyone else for the most part. And it looks quite similar.
that's very cool. Outdoor hobby guy wants to know what you ride.
Yeah, so this year I'm on a Summit X 154 Turbo.
Nice. Very cool.
But
you came off of.
Sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say you came off of a naturally aspirated, right?
Yeah, that's where I was going with that. So I was on a turbo. So I've been with Skidoo. This is my 3rd season with Skidoo, and my 3rd season overall, I was like, let's jump on a turbo. I had no business being on a turbo. I would get myself into places that I shouldn't have been. I will be the first to admit that. I was stuck a lot. And when you're turbo stuck, you're stuck. It's quite the situation. And then last year I was like, I was on a 165 and I'm like, I'm going to go down to a 154 to just give myself a little bit more of that agility. And I went back to the naturally aspirated, and my riding progressed like day and night. People wouldn't even know that it was me on the hill, because before I was, nervous when it came to the throttle. I was, again, also on a turbo. And so that would kick in, and it was a little worrisome and sketchy sometimes. But when I went back to the NA, I had to think a lot more about my lines, like my line choice, and I had to be a lot more input. Like I had to really work the sled. And so, yeah, it was more of a love relationship opposed to the turbo. So this year I figured, like, finally I was able to figure out doing like the wheelie turnouts or re-entries, but not like the cool re-entries by any means. But I finally figured that out last year, and it was the only way that I could really figure it out was on a turbo. So I just decided to go back to a turbo this year. But I'm on day 3, and it's going to take some getting used to. Again, there's nothing wrong with naturally aspirated. They are amazing sleds, and the way that, like, the technology that Skidoo has come up with, like designed, the sleds just go, like, you lean into it and they just go. So, for anybody out there that's undecided if they want to go for a turbo, I say there's nothing wrong with naturally aspirated.
Well, and that's funny you say that, because Matt, Muskoka Freerider, said the same thing. He was super long turbo, and he went back to a shorter on one of the sleds. And he said that the naturally aspirated and the shorter track will make you a better rider, because it forces you to actually be the rider, right? As opposed to the sled compensating with, ultra power. And I think, like you said, it can get you into trouble fast and get you stuck, and you're really stuck.
Yeah, and there was, like, I think it was March 8th last year in Revelstoke, because that's where I ride almost every weekend, which is like the place to ride. We had a really deep day, and I will say that if I didn't have that turbo, that I would have been stuck all day. But I just happened to have a 165 turbo demo, because mine was in the shop, and it made for a really fun day. So there's a time and a place for the naturally aspirated and the turbo. I'm not very heavy, so in certain situations that turbo does work for me, but for the most part, like, it's, if you're wanting to get your skills dialed, just stick with the naturally aspirated.
Very cool. Outdoor Hobby guy says, how does it feel to be an ambassador for such a huge, amazing brand?
Yeah, it's pretty incredible. That's for sure. You know, I never dreamed when I first started this of, you know, riding for Skidoo. So yeah, I can't say obviously enough good things about the machine and how much I love my Skidoo, but it's also, you know, that there's a responsibility out there riding for a company like Skidoo and ensuring that you are an ambassador for the sport and that you're really putting a good example out there. And so I like that responsibility and encouraging as many females as I can, and people with maybe that feel that they have limitations to get into it. That's my place on the team, right? Is to, to just, because I only have 6 years. You look at everyone else. I went on an ambassador ride like 2 years ago, and I was like, I sat there for the most part because I was just like, you guys do your thing. Like, it was incredible to watch, but I knew that I, you know, was a bit out of my element. So I am by no means a pro, but I, you know, 6 years ago, I got into this sport being a female, and now I do what I can to encourage other females to get into it and love the sport like I do.
Yeah. You and my friend Corey Jinks, our friend, he's often in the chat. I'm surprised he hasn't popped in tonight. He said that he met you. I think he met you in Valcourt. You had a tour of the facility there. And he said that he told me you were the real deal. He said you're an amazing person, and he's I'm getting the vibe right now. Like, he said, everything he said is very. So he's a big fan. If you didn't know that already, you know.
Well, I'm also a big fan of his. So
what do you have any memories of things, events, or things like that you've done with Skidoo that stick out in your mind?
You know, I think being a part of the Edmonton Snowmobile Show, though I was on the road, I toured North America for 4.5 months this summer, so I wasn't able to make the show this year. But just being in a place where, you know, you have so many people from the industry, and it's just such a great vibe and you know, a great time, and hanging out with Dave Nerona and, you know, Carl Kuster and Jason Ribby. It's pretty neat. It's pretty neat. Again, it makes it so surreal that I am a part of a team with so many like heavy hitters. So it's, yeah. And every ladies ride that I do is a great time. Like, I've never been on a ladies ride where it isn't fun. It's so amazing seeing so many women come out. Like, I did an event last weekend with Nadine, and there was over 40 women at Full Speed in Revelstoke that came out that were all sledders. So, like, we are taking over the industry, guys.
That's awesome. Tim V and Nathan M both asked, do you ever trail ride for fun?
That's not really a thing in BC. There's just so much off trail that it's hard. Like, I've, not to say that I wouldn't do it. And I love the trail. The trail is such a fun part, but the trail is very different in, you know, out here when you're getting to the backcountry. Like, we don't necessarily have speed limits. You know, some people, not that I'm a fan of this, but some people are like, love to ride the left side of and I'm sure you trail riders are like, ooh, yeah, that's a no-no. The etiquette is a little different for sure. But yeah, sure. If I was in a place where there was actually designated trails just for trail riding, I'd give it a go. My turbo would overheat within 5 minutes, but
yeah, that's not the sled for sure. So, and that's the thing, where you are, why would you trail ride? You're using the trails just to get to the mountain, to the destinations and that type of thing. Have you done mountain camping or anything like that? Like, what is the craziest experiences that you've done mountain sledding?
There's been late nights on the mountains, not intentional, either a sled breaks and, you have to start a fire. I haven't spent the night out there yet, but again, I've had very late nights out there. That's probably the closest thing that I've had to camping, but of course not intentional. There's cabins that you can rent that are up in the Alpine, which is super cool. I haven't had the chance to do that yet either, but I'd say the closest thing I've come to like mountain camping is camping in Revelstoke.
Very cool.
It's pretty much the same thing, except you have, a kitchen and showers and restaurants. So yeah, but it's such a good vibe.
Oh, very cool. Hey, listen, do you want to see some fan photos from the fans, and we'll get into some of your pictures and keep the conversation going?
That would be great.
Okay, let's do that. I'll roll the little Fast Track sponsorship promo, and then we'll get right into this. Fan photos are brought to you by Fast Track Snowmobile Traction. This season, quit sliding sideways on the ice and losing races to your buddies. A Fast Track stud kit will help you with improved braking and give you the arm-ripping acceleration you crave. I put over 3,000 clicks last season on my Renegade 850, and I'll tell you, these studs exceeded my expectations. Not one broken stud, my Ida wheels still look like new, and they hooked up like I was on rails in the twisties, inspiring confidence every ride. Fast Track Top Gun kits are the highest rated stud kit at 4.9 stars with over 230 reviews. The studs are heat treated stainless so they are strong and they don't rust. The kit is lighter, easier on the track, and has a lifetime warranty against breaking. Each kit comes with a track-specific template for complete balance with over double the scratch lines from stock templates. All listeners when purchasing a stud kit can get a free install kit, a $30 value. Visit fasttrack.co, add both products to the cart, and use the coupon code SNOW at the checkout. That's fasttrac.co. All right. Wait, I didn't actually click that down. There we go. It's there. Just got to make it large like that. So here we are into the fan photos, and this is what I picked up there on Thursday last week.
Ooh, I like it.
Yeah, 2024 XRS 850, not a turbo. That's plenty enough power for me. But that is the Trail Monster. And it is a 137-inch track, so it's the same as what I'm riding, what I rode last year. And they've got the new 4-piston brake with the adjustable brake lever, and it's just a gorgeous sled. I love looking at it. It's out in the garage, and I spend a lot of time sitting on it.
Yeah.
So, thanks, Red. Thank you, Energy POWERSPORTS. Great experience dealing with them, and it's always fun when you go in there and chat with the staff. So I had a blast last week, and away we go. So yeah, so look for some videos on that coming up, and we got lots of stuff we're playing around with on this thing this year. So it's gonna be cool. And then Greg Kelly, he says, "Hey, I caught your video on the Avro Arrow and the water tower in Barry's Bay. Nice work. I didn't know the tower was the oldest wooden one in Ontario. That Corey is pretty knowledgeable at times. Yes, sorry to see the drone crash on the old Mount Madawaska. Any plans for a recovery mission?" He wants to know. You guys actually drove by my hunt camp 1,000 feet in off the trail on Trail B on the B trail when you went to Bonnechie River around Lake Way. Some of my gang were planning on riding the same weekend, but I think it was raining Friday. It was pouring rain Friday, and they canceled the trip. Certainly drop in next time you're sledding. He's going to put a sign up for us. And he says, "Congratulations, Gary, on 100 episodes. It's something to be proud of for sure. And hey, your son Drew is an exceptional co-host. He helped me co-host last week. It was fun. And it kind of adds a younger viewer perspective." So, and he said he watched an episode of Snow TV with Jeff all about Eagle River, Wisconsin, the snow capital of the world. Definitely going on my bucket list. I wonder if Wisco and Jacob had visited there. Take care, and Merry Christmas, Greg. So that was good to hear from Greg. He said he was busy tonight, so he wasn't going to be catching the show. So we miss him tonight in the chat, but I appreciate the the note you sent, and also a lot of people direct messaged me the last week about the 100th, and yeah, it's pretty crazy to think that I'm already here. And in 108, we're supposed to have Levi on, and I don't know if he'll make it or not, but I'm sure hoping he's a man of his word and he comes on, and away we go. But you know, that'll be a fun show. So 8 more episodes for that, 7 to get in the can. Brad Ross, he says this is a photo of his dad and I up in Cochrane last year. We both have 23 skidoos. I have a backcountry 600 EFI, that's it right there, with a full Elka suspension setup and a straight line performance pipe and clutch kit. His dad is a Renegade 900 Turbo. Oh, it's a really blurry picture there in the back, with a full Elka setup as well. That would be a beast. We both are first-time Ski-Doo owners. They've always had Arctic Cats, but he wanted to change, LOL. But we love the Link accessories and the fuel mileage of the Ski-Doo, which that's very true. He used to ride the UP of Michigan a lot, but now he rides Northern Ontario. Better snow, and it's always cold. So there you go. You got to come to Ontario, Northern Ontario.
Apparently.
You can crash at MJ Thompson's place, and I'm just down the road. So Corey and I will go take you trail riding.
Okay. Deal.
Yep. So she's got enough ski-doos to go around, that's for sure.
Yeah.
You know? And then Corey sent me a note saying, hey, Gary, I just want to send a special congratulations on your 100th Snowmobile Sessions episode. Always look forward to Monday nights with all the fellas. Thanks for being a stellar riding partner the last 3 seasons. And can't wait to ride again this season. A few pics from our epic first trip to Quebec and a few pics from the Lodge Sessions trip 2023 to get everyone fired up for 2024 trip. Cheers, buddy, and thanks for everything. So I love what he did here with this picture, me giving the number 1, and makes it the 100th episode. So that's awesome. And here's Corey and I out front of Nico's in Quebec. Quebec is amazing. If you're ever gonna, decide you're gonna try trail riding, I think Quebec is a place to do it. It's something else. And you know what? If you figure out that you hate trail riding, hey, there's my twin. Look, we're the same size. If you ever figure you hate trail riding, you got mountains to ride right there. So you're best of both worlds. So.
True.
This had another restaurant. I can't remember the name of it. Probably Corey will actually remember the name of it in the chat there. And they said there was a deer outside. So I thought I'd lick the deer just like they lick everything else. He was licking salt blocks or something. There was a ton of them in the backyard of this little restaurant we were in. Very cool. We have fun. And this is a shot I took with my drone. Yeah, isn't that wild? We actually were hitting this thing and we were late and the sun was going down and there's 4 of us, and Corey said, like, I go, we're losing daylight, and the other 2 guys said, just go ahead. And Corey and I ripped like animals to make it to the top of the mountain. And this is what we hit. It was just like the absolute last 20 minutes you could actually have. And there's a video on my channel of just this flight, and it was pretty amazing. But yeah, the snow had stopped and the sun was going down. It was just, that's not filtered. That's totally out of the camera. Just a beautiful shot. And you can only get up there by snowmobile or side by side. They share trails. Yeah, they share trails.
Right?
Yeah. Or by foot, but you can't take a car up there. So it's pretty cool. And the side by side and the snowmobiles, they have their own trail system there. It's really wild. So this is the lodge. This is the Sportsman's Lodge in Kukagami Lake in Sudbury, Ontario. And this is where we do our big group rides. So last year we had 31 registered, but I think 29 came out. I think we had 2 canceled. And this is the first morning we woke up with a fresh dumping of snow after we had rain and ice all week. So this is a very, very good blessing in disguise. And the trails were amazing after they broke up everything and groomed all this in. And it was, it's quite the experience. And we're definitely all looking forward to going back. So we ended up being only ones in the lodge. There might have been 2 or 4 transient people that came in and out, but for the most part, we had the whole place to ourselves, which is really cool. And then Jim brought this little fire pit out every night, 6 o'clock. We'd come in from a ride, and he'd have dinner going in the main cabin, and we'd sit around the fire and talk stories and make fun of each other, and then we'd go in and eat. So it was pretty cool. Yeah, the towable fire pit is neat. Corey can't wait for Sudbury, and I can't either. And then this is one of the group photos we had. We didn't have the whole gang out this day, but we had all the sleds lined up on the lake and got a good picture. And I think there was 3 females riding that time, and they had no problem keeping up with us men. It was awesome. Everybody had a blast.
Very cool.
Yeah, and this is where you eat dinner in the lodge, and this is us just posing for a picture. I don't know what night that would have been. It might have been the first night. We were all bushy-tailed here, ready to go. Drinking beers and telling lies, Bobby O says. That's exactly it. Massart says another great week. He said, cheers 100. And he said, another great week, great episode. My buddy took delivery of his Lynx Rob A RE on Monday. And his girlfriend was just as excited because she gets his old Rev adding more to the sport. Spent that night drinking beers and ceramic coating his sled. The old photo is one I found online. If anyone has ever seen this before, we'll get to that. So that's Jacob's 850 on the right is XRS, and then that's the Lynx on the left. There's another good shot of it. There's an old Formula MX in the background.
Mm-hmm.
So this is, I don't know if this is his girlfriend or if that's his nieces and nephews there, probably thinking Jacob Massart's the coolest uncle ever. Well, Nathan wants to know what's with the Sudbury trip. Hit us up. We'll fill you on the details of that. You can hit me at GarrettMudbrats.com. Yeah, I'm just going to put that there in the chat. Bear with me here. There we go. This is the last picture he sent. So have you ever seen a snowplow like that on a...
Nope.
I can't remember what the name of these sleds were, but they weren't any lands. So everybody's going to chime in on them. The twin track groomer sleds. An Alpine. They're big Alpines. That's what they were. With the plow. And it's actually Ski-Doo branded plow.
Oh, yeah. Very cool.
That could make you a nice trail up in the mountains, couldn't it?
Yeah.
What's the oldest sled you've ever ridden? Like, have you ridden any vintage stuff lately?
Not that old. Probably like a 2008.
Oh, that's new. Yeah. You do have to go see MJ because she's got some real classics back in the...
Yeah. When we do our ambassador calls, they're hanging out in the back. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. You definitely... She'll put you on some old stuff. So this is all about you now. So this is a great snowboard photo.
Yep. Mount Hood, Oregon.
So was this one of the events you competed in?
No, this is just training. So it's a dormant volcano, also I believe a glacier. So it's lots of snow in the summer, like fall. We'd always go usually August, September.
Yeah. Wow. That's early season, right?
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah.
How often do you snowboard now? Do you do any, like, none at all?
No, I snowmobile.
That's what happened to me too. We used to ski and snowboard as a family, and I don't know where my snowboard is right now. Actually, to be honest, I'd have to really go looking for it. Because you figure you have you either pay for a lift ticket or a tank of gas. And a tank of gas is a lot more fun.
Yeah. Okay.
So is this your bike?
This was the bike. I had done quite a bit of work to it, actually. This is, I think, day 2 on it. So prior to the accident, it looked a bit different. But yeah, that's it. That's me and 2 legs.
Is it what is it? It's a CBR?
Yep, CBR 600 RR.
Nice, sweet. It's a race model.
Yeah.
And how long did you street ride? You know, was it something you grew up like 16 years old doing, or was it that you had it for 2 years? Did you say
12 days?
you had it for 12 days? Geez, what'd your parents say? They must have said, "I told you so."
They found out like maybe 4 days before my accident that I even had a motorcycle because I was nervous to tell them.
Oh, geez, right?
Well, my dad was a firefighter for 30 years, so he saw a lot.
Yeah. Well, this is it when you're parting it out afterwards, was it?
No, that's what it looked like when
Yes, I know. That's trying to make light of it, but yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, there wasn't many good pieces left after that, but yeah, you can see there's still a lot of blood on the seats, and yeah, it was I hit that guardrail pretty hard.
Do you remember it? Like, were you conscious through the whole thing? And that's the good thing, right? That you can just put it behind you.
Yeah, for the most part, there's still PTSD there because I don't remember it. But, I remember third time they lost my vitals, I had a full out of body experience. I was looking down at myself and my torso was in a different direction than my lower body. And I remember thinking I'm too young to die. And then I came to and I held on for 23 minutes with a severed femoral artery, which is pretty rare when you can't tourniquet. So I got very, very lucky. And then obviously the machines, I needed 28 units of blood, which is 3 times what my body holds in the first 36 hours. So it was just constantly pumped full of blood. And yeah, it was, luckily I don't really remember anything. I was in an induced coma because I also had damaged my brain too. But within a couple of days, I was squeezing my family's hands. That was my way of communicating. And yeah.
Wow, that's just, we're happy you are here. I will say that.
Yeah, I'm very
you're a great spirit, and it's nice to have people like you on this planet.
Thank you.
What's your words of advice for anyone else?
I say just live. Like, don't be worried of things happening. I didn't know that it was coming. Sure, jumping on a motorcycle is risky, but I live every day like it's my last because you never know. And I've had a really incredible life, especially since my accident. I've had a beautiful life with some really incredible moments. So I'm just going to continue living and just venture out of your comfort zone. Obviously, I never suggest venturing out of your skill set. Stay within your skill set, but just go do things that get your adrenaline going.
Yeah, nice. How long, Corey asked, how long were you in the hospital?
5 months.
5 months. Wow.
Yeah. Wow.
That's pretty crazy.
So go ahead.
No, you.
I was going to say, so this, I had broke both hips. And if you actually look at like my pelvis kind of in the middle, that's like right. So they're not. Yeah. And that's unfortunately how they healed. And like, you can tell that one hip is more prominent than the other one. So that's how they healed. They didn't think I was going to make it for the first 36 hours. So they kind of just pieced me back together. And then I am here today, but I deal with that every day. Like the hips being off and the pelvis being very crooked. But the hardware actually went quite a bit higher too. That's pelvic lumbar fixation hardware. That actually came out a year later, but the pins are in the hip are still there.
Do you still have pain today?
You know what? 12 years, I've been very lucky. I don't deal with pain. It's mainly in my back. I broke my L4, L5, which are now fused. And I feel it more in my back than anywhere else, but I've been pretty lucky. I've kept myself in as good shape as I can, and it's paid off.
Very good. That's awesome. Did you always have a high tolerance for pain, though?
No, I have terrible I'm covered in tattoos, and I'll tell you, I can sit for maybe like 2 hours if I'm not, like if I'm smothered in tattoo numbing cream, maybe 3 hours, but I do not have a good tolerance for pain at all. So I don't know. I've been lucky.
Yeah. Wow. Oh, that's good for you though. You found a way. That's the most remarkable. I just love hearing it, and I'm dumbfounded by it all. Right. Tim V says, do you speak to new riders about risk, like motorcycle riders? I think he's talking.
I do. Yeah. Public speaking has been something I've done a lot of since my accident, and any chance I get, because I actually was trying to keep up with my friends, and they had been riding for a lot longer than I had. And, that goes with sledding too, with snowmobiling, and just trying to keep up. And, we talk about venturing out of your comfort zone, but then also there's being reckless too. And I didn't want to get left behind. I wasn't comfortable going the speed we were. It was 80 and we're going 120, but I just had this fear of being left, and what would that look like, and having to catch up. And so, yeah, I talk about, how to talk to new riders about that risk and what that could potentially look like, and just let them leave you, just to have radios on, whatever the case is when you're sledding. For motorcycles, I always rode with my phone. But if they're gonna push you to be reckless, it's not worth it. I'm a testament to.
Good point. Very good point. When you're snowmobiling, Nathan M says, how is your ride comfort for you? Is it tough, or can you still hang all day?
Oh yeah. Ride comfort as in like
do you get fatigue, I guess, right? Like, because you said you favor the one leg, and you have to ride a little bit different.
No, I don't really deal with a lot of pain per se. Sometimes my socket, it's carbon fiber, so it'll rub right on my skin, so I get sores, but I just power through. Like, actually last year I was side hilling out of a cut block that was very, very deep, and I was doing my best to get out of there, and I ended up hitting a rut and like dropping probably 5 feet on the sled, and I hit my throttle. I actually broke my throttle in half, the plastic in half, because I hit it so hard with my carbon fiber socket. I thought that I had broke my femur. It was the most pain that I had felt since my accident. And I ended up riding all day because I was the only person that knew the area. I had a bunch of friends out from different areas. And by the end, I was shaking, and I was like, they're like, are you going into shock or are you cold? I was like, I don't know. Probably a little bit of both. I drove myself to the hospital. I was off my leg for 5 weeks because I had such significant bone bruising in my femur. But I power through, maybe not always the best, but when you're in the backcountry, sometimes you have to power through.
Yeah, that's right. You don't really have a choice when you got to get out, right? Yeah. So here we are with Team Canada. Is that an experience? Tell us about that.
Yeah, that was my first game. So it was just prior to the games. I think that actually is the day that we had Rick Mercer out, because he did an episode with the para snowboard team. It's really neat. She likes to swear a lot. Yeah, it was just going there, and it was so interesting because I'd always been around snowboarders, but to be around all these different athletes of different sports and disciplines, and prior to the opening ceremonies, everyone's like getting to know each other and joking around, and it's super fun environment. And then the second opening ceremonies is over, everyone's just like game face, like, don't talk to me. I'm here to win. I'm here to compete. And it's intense. It's really intense. And I just wanted to go to become a Paralympian. And I did, but then I really understood what that looked like my second games when, I went in ranked third overall, 2 medal, and the difference between that. But it was so neat traveling the world as a national sport athlete. And then of course, Sochi, Russia, and Pyeongchang, South Korea. To wear your flag, your maple leaf, or your country's maple leaf. It was was an experience for sure. Pretty overwhelming, to say the least.
That's quite the honor. You know, one thing that really, it always irks me that they put the Paralympics on after the regular Olympics, and it's like, I wish they would find a way to kind of marry it together a little bit better, because it's almost like people have forgotten, moved on, you know. And do you have any suggestions or thoughts on how they could do that better?
So this is a controversial topic when it comes to Paralympians and Olympians, because I actually feel that it should just be right after the Olympics. It doesn't need to be 2 weeks after, like even if it's just the next day after they close and the Paralympics open, because then people don't forget about it. But I think that the Paralympics have a lot of significance, and it's a very different games. It's very inspiring and motivating. You see a lot of people overcoming adversity. So to like merge the two, I really do think that it would take away from that and the power that the Paralympics have. But you're right. In Canada, we don't get a lot of broadcasting time. It's sad. You see the highlights, and you do the interviews and stuff, but that's not always seen. There's not a lot of hype around the Paralympics like there is the Olympics. And so I think that, again, just right after the Olympics, like even a day after, and broadcasting, like, come on, CBC and all of these networks, like, let's see the Paralympics. It's incredible to see what people can accomplish with a disability. Like,
Absolutely. Is the awards presentations and everything just as glamorous as the regular Olympics? And then what about afterwards? Like, are you somewhat of a celebrity? How does that all unfold, or does that affect it? Does that not having the airplay affect the fact that you just leave and it's like, oh well, back to my regular life?
Yeah, and so that may be one of the benefits of having the Paralympics 2 weeks after, is we've taken time to celebrate the medalists from the Olympics, and they've had their time to shine, and now let's celebrate the Paralympians. But it is definitely a lot different. I got really lucky going into the 2018 games. I had worked hard to have those World Cup medals, and so I was Canada's most marketed Paralympian. I had done multiple campaigns with like Sport Check and Bell and Tempur-Pedic, and I was the only Paralympian that they chose. So to be able to do these really cool campaigns with like Kaylee Humphries and Mark McMorris, it was amazing. And I'd go to the grocery store and I'd have people walking up to me and saying good luck, or the gym. And so my life was changing, and it was great. But then the second I didn't medal, I felt like I was completely forgotten about. And I walked out of there as like I didn't hear from my sponsors again. It was really hard. And I think that Paralympians, they're not as celebrated as the Olympians when they do medal. Like, Olympians get paid, Paralympians don't. And Canada's probably going to be mad at me for saying this, but we have a lot of work to do on the Paralympic side. Let's pay our Paralympians the same as Olympians.
Yeah, I agree. And you work your tail off, and you don't medal, but you're fourth, right? Like, it's not like it was a DNF or anything like that. So, but you still get into that zone of you're not good enough. Well, because you put everything into walking away with that medal. That is the medal that carries significance. Like, I can show people a World Cup medal or a World Championship medal, and they're like, oh, cool. But the second the Paralympic medal comes out, it's different. It's like your story doesn't carry as much weight, which is really sad, because you have incredible stories that have come out of finishing fourth, or whatever that looks like, and having to like reinvent ourselves. And I had a huge identity crisis after that, because I was pretty much forced to retire because of my age and all my concussions. Hence the reason I got into sledding and didn't touch my snowboard for 5 years. Wow. Well, you just didn't even want to go there. Nope, not at all. Wasn't even interested. Went in a bag and wasn't touched for 5 years. Wow, that's insane. Yeah. Insane. How good are the other competitors that you're competing against? Are they like, you know, compared to the regular athletes? Are they competitive in a way? Like, could they compete on the same hill?
Oh yeah. So it depends on the disability. There's different levels. So I was LL1, so I was up against bilateral, so missing both of their legs below the knee, or above the knee amputees, or we had a girl with MS in our category. Our category was quite small just because it takes a special kind to, you know, race down a border cross course as an above the knee amputee, really only having one real knee joint. So our category was quite small, but it's competitive. It's very competitive. You have people from, you know, athletes from all around the world. And, you know, one of our female athletes, actually, I think we've seen a couple of our para snowboarders that have almost made it to the regular Olympics. And we will train with the able-bodied, the Olympians. Like, well, in Finland, we had a course that was huge, and few of us were making it through the start section because it was so big, but that was the standard. Like, you know, we don't care if you're missing limbs or you have a disability, you're figuring it out. By the end, we were figuring it out.
That's pretty awesome. Tim V says, do you feel a new sense of life of snowmobiling? Does it give you that new zest? And
yeah, it definitely does that, and skydiving for sure. But sledding is, it makes me feel like, even though, you know, yes, I do adapt to my riding, I often feel like I'm not disabled. Like, I have to remind myself I'm missing a leg. And again, people generally don't know until they're like, oh, she's doing everything neutral. She's doing everything, you know, with her feet on one, on individual running board. She's not transferring over. But other than that, like, most people wouldn't really know. I love it. I absolutely love it. It's addicting.
oh yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. Now in this photo here, you've got your pant leg rolled up. Does it have to stay out of the mechanism? Is that why it's shown?
No, we were just doing that for photos because everyone's disability in the Paralympics is different. So it just gives us the opportunity. That, and the knee is so cool that how can you not show it off, right?
You paid 80 grand for it. You're going to show it off, right?
Yeah. This one isn't the 80 grand one, but yeah, this one's still expensive. And it's so cool that you have a Fox mountain bike shock on your leg. So when you can show your disability, we generally do, just because it makes, again, it's the significance around the Paralympics and overcoming that adversity. And, you know, one of my favorite commercials that I've done, I think I've done about 17 commercials now, is my Sport Check one. And if you have a chance, Google like Sport Check Michelle Salt, and it is the coolest sport or the commercial ever. They use the guy that did the opener for Game of Thrones, and he like morphed my bike in pieces into my leg, and it's so neat. So yeah, with sledding, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Like, I'm going to be the only one out there most likely missing a leg. But with snowboarding, hello? Oh, you're back. Oh
no. Are you there? Are you there now?
Yeah, I don't know what happened.
It happens. That's technology.
Yeah. Yep.
That was me. That my Wi-Fi went down. But sorry, you were saying, like, so I don't know how far we got there, but
I don't even know. This is my head injury. I don't know. Anyway.
Yeah. I don't have a head injury, and I don't remember either. So that's very cool. Very cool that you got a lot of celebrity fame out of that.
Yeah, it was fun for sure. And there's another, that's me in La Molina, Spain.
Have you done any other sports aside from snowboarding? Have you done cycling and?
Yep. Oh.
I don't know what's happening with my internet.
That's okay. That's okay.
Rogers is going to hear from me. Man, it's crazy. I don't know what it is, but yeah. So anyway, go ahead.
Yeah.
Start.
So I was on the national cycling team for a bit. Road biking is not my thing. I don't enjoy being on a bike for 4 hours. I loved the velodrome. Very cool. Like, track cycling, that was more my thing. But in Canada, we don't have enough athletes, so you have to do both. And it wasn't really my thing. I also competed in wake surfing for a while and actually helped write the rule book for adaptive wake surfing so that I could get into, the competition and become a fully sanctioned sport. So I don't do that as much anymore just because of the cost of boats.
That is awesome, though. Pretty cool.
Yeah.
And that's the thing, when you talk about the velodrome, though, they're fixed gear bikes, so you don't have a coasting gear, right? How does that work? What are you clipped in? Are you clipped in on that leg?
Yeah, I still have scars from the Milton because it's wood, and if you're not going fast enough, you slide out, and it's like road rash. Like I still have scars on my arms from sliding out on that track. But it's that adrenaline and kind of on like the cusp of potentially falling over, but it's being able to get up to speed and then dropping. Once you drop in, then you really feel that momentum. And it's so neat, just like, the G-forces going around corners, which you feel when you snowboard too. So that was probably my favorite part of it, just when I could go really fast.
Very cool.
Yeah.
So that's the IPC World Championships, La Molina. Mm. It's the bank slalom in 2015. Very cool. And here you are on the motocross. Now, someone asked about this. They said, do you ride just trails? Is that kind of your thing, or are you MX track in this?
Yeah, I haven't rode a bike. Yeah, I haven't rode a bike on skydiving in the summer. That's a very expensive sport, so I can't really do both. But I had a bike for years after my accident, and I actually really enjoy. Well, I love being in the air. That's probably my favorite thing. So we have Wild Rose in Calgary, and it's a great little track, and they have 3 or 4 different tracks. So yeah, I loved the track as much as I could. I'm not quite as independent with biking. I can't load and unload myself, so I do need to usually have someone with me. But other than that, it's I love it.
That's wild. What are you riding there?
I think that's a KTM 150, maybe W.
Yeah, right on.
2-stroke, yeah.
Two-stroke one. Well, it says 150 on it, but it's a 2-stroke for sure. You can see that big pipe on it. That's it was
the hybrid. It was the hybrid between trail and track. But my favorite bike was a CRF 150R. Just a fun little pit bike. So fun.
That's cool. But you grew up riding dirt bikes, is that right?
Yeah, like 50s and 80s. To get on a bike like this, it was actually quite intimidating because I can't squeeze my legs either when I dirt bike. So
that's right. When you want to grip the tank, right? Wow. All Terrain TV says being in the air is his least favorite part. I kind of agree with that.
Yeah.
So, this is a beautiful mountain shot. Tips in the air.
So that was my birthday present to myself. My first season, a 165. It was 850 Summit X, and this is my first season, and everyone's like, just hit it. And it's a great shot, but I did not stay on my sled.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah. Well,
again, the whole gripping thing's probably part of the problem too, right?
Well, in the prosthetic, when I get high, and I love, this is my favorite thing to do on a sled is like tail stands and wheelies. But my prosthetic doesn't generally grip. So when I get in this position, it usually will just slide right off the running board and take me with it. So I have to be very strategic. And obviously you want to put your weight in the front anyway when you're bringing your sled up like that. But I have to make sure that like my feet are really under in order for them to stay on.
Yeah, because how much does your toe and foot articulate? Does it have any articulation? None. See, that would be a problem then, right?
Yeah.
Where we can be on our toes in our boot, or we can be flat foot, or what have you. So yeah, I could see that being a real issue for this.
Yeah.
I think it's great. Like, mountain sledding is not easy, and for you to do this like this is really crazy. This shot here would be like an epic day for me.
Yeah, that was for actually Sledder magazine, for a feature that I did with Nadine, and that was a really fun day. The snow was perfect, and out there riding with Nadine, you got to make the best of it because she's such a phenomenal rider. But that was, I think it was my second season, and that was the season where I started to really understand my weight and that tipping point, and where I was getting those donuts in at the end of the year. So that was pretty cool. And to see the outcome of those pictures too, because it either goes both ways, where you're like, that was so sick, let's see the video. And you're like, oh, that was not cool. Like, that's not as big as I thought it was. And then, like, you're just like, oh, that was okay. And then you see the video after, and you're like, or the photos, and you're like, wow, that's incredible. So that was the season. I feel like it finally started to click. And then last year being like, that was the progression.
How many times would you say you get out? Do you try and get out every weekend in a normal winter, or how many times do you get out?
So 2 seasons ago, I was actually quite sick and I hardly rode. I think I put 800 kilometers on my turbo. Last year I put almost 2,000, and I rode like almost 40 days.
That's a lot for a mountain sled. Wow. Like, there's people that don't do trail riding that far.
Well, and here's the thing. I drove 5 hours each way to Revelstoke every weekend. So I would leave Friday afternoon. I would drive 5 hours to Revy. I would sled Saturday, half of Sunday, and I would turn around. Well, I say half of Sunday, but realistically it ended up being a full day. And then I would turn around and I would drive back to Revy. And I did that 15 weekends in a row.
Wow, that's crazy. Atta girl. I love it.
Yeah, it took my holidays. Like, anybody who, like that I work with knows that I'm going to most likely be taking my vacation days during the winter.
Yeah. Now, do you do your mechanic work yourself? Are you handy that way, or do you have?
No, don't claim to be. No, I will be honest. I don't know much about sleds. Obviously, I'm learning more as I'm out there, because anybody who helps me, I'm like, just show me so I can, change my belts myself and, tighten my track and stuff. But no, until like this season, really, I just would take it to the shop. But now I'm figuring it out. I feel like for the first time ever, I can talk shop, but that has come after a season where I did a lot of damage to my sled. Yeah.
You know what though? Like, that's a good way to learn though, by trial and error, so to speak, right? Like, it makes you learn it. And like you said, I think everybody should go out and change the belt in their snowmobile, because when you need to do it on the mountain or on the trail, it's an important skill to have, right? Now, when you ride, you ride in groups, obviously. How do people pay special attention to you, or do you rather them not? You would rather them treat you like everyone else out on the hill?
No, this is the part that when it comes to us going into a technical area, I don't want people to treat me differently. Like, I want to try. And most of the time, I'll have people by the beginning like, oh, we'll go the easy route. And then by the end, they're like, okay, like, you can hold your own. But when it comes to, like, in the backcountry, you never ride alone. And like that is just the golden rule in backcountry snowmobiling, because you never know what's going to happen. And these
That's
sleds
true.
are right, and avalanches and all of that. But it's important to have eyes on me, because I have a prosthetic leg that gets stuck under the snowmobile. I can't pull myself out of the sled or out from under the sled the same way that maybe someone else can. And because I do tip a lot, I've ended up in tree wells and very deep tree wells and stuff. So I make sure that my crew knows, if I'm riding with new people, like, if we got to have the buddy system regardless, we should always have eyes on our people, and radios fully charged, things like that. But I do ask that people try and they don't have to follow me around by any means, but just try and keep your eyes on me.
Yeah, that's right. Well, you're a little crazy too, so you're probably doing, you know what I mean? You're probably pushing the limits to the point where, I shouldn't have done that. I have that feeling about you.
I did say that I was going to slow down a little bit this year, just because even though I progressed, quite a bit last year, I don't want to say that I made dumb mistakes, but I did maybe push myself a little out of my skill set to try and progress. And, we talk about false confidence often in action extreme sports. And there is such thing as like actually having that skill set and believing that you have that skill set. So this year I am riding within that skill set.
Nice. That's good. Well, you're learning too. I think that's important. Altering TV says that's how you learn to fix things. You don't need to learn the whole machine right away. Just keep the maintenance things and keep it alive, and then grow from there. That's what he's getting at. So Corey Brock says, do you want to shout out your dealership?
So technically, as a Skidoo ambassador, I am to support every Skidoo dealership. But here in Calgary, we only have Basecamp Motorsports, and then I deal with Banner and Golden too, which in Golden, BC, those are the two dealerships that I support. But I do support, of course, any Skidoo dealership that is within a drivable distance.
Right on. Tim B says, do you work a day job too?
Yeah. Actually, interesting enough, last season, so I work in healthcare Monday to Friday as a sales manager, and then I do real estate as well. So last year I was using my Zolio to negotiate offers. So last year was a really intense year. Let's just say when the season was over, I just slept. I needed like a week off just to sleep, because it was exhausting having, I was working 60 hours a week and still sledding every single weekend.
That's awesome. Bobby O says, what does she not do? That's probably the easier question, I think, right now.
I'm not great.
I love it. I think I think you're like Corey Jinks is right. You're just amazing. You're not afraid to do anything. And, I don't know. It's kind of the accident might be a blessing in disguise, because you may not have opened up the doors that you've opened for yourself. And you're such a great spirit. I wish everybody going through that could meet you.
Thank you. Yeah. And, you're right. It is also like it's enabled me to, at first it was like, oh, is this going to be a hindrance to me? But it's enabled me, because I'm like, I'm an amputee. What can I do? Like, what am I capable of doing? And I hated walking prior to the 4-month trip that I took in the States this summer. By the end, I was walking 5 kilometers in like sand on the beach, like trekking through, dragging my prosthetic leg, exhausted. But it's really incredible. You set your mind to it, and it's pretty amazing what you're capable of.
Right on. More snowboard pictures. Maybe you shouldn't have sent me so many snowboard pictures.
Sorry, no one ever takes pictures of me sledding. We're all so busy having fun.
I know, this is great though.
Yeah, I hardly have.
This was another race by the look of it, by the jersey.
Yeah, that's Dew Tour. So that's like kind of like the X Games, except it's skiing and snowboarding. It's a really big competition down in Colorado, and that's probably one of my favorite snowboarding pictures. Just getting around those gates and having fun, and yeah.
Yeah, that leg is cool.
Yeah.
I like that it's so robotic and Terminator. It looks like that. Do you have a name for it? Do you nickname them at all or no?
No.
Yeah. Oh, this is a different one you're wearing here. I'm covering it up. That's sweet. It's actually very
Oh.
elegant.
Well, so I have covers. I have covers for all my different prosthetics, or actually for the one that I'm wearing, sorry. But I have probably 20 different covers. And so friends of mine in this world-renowned company now, they're the largest prosthetic cover company in the world. And so every year or a couple of years, they just make me a new cover with different colors and designs.
Oh, that's pretty cool. It's neat. And what are you doing here? You get a kid high-fiving and a bunch watching. There's a sign in the background that says fair play.
Yeah, so this is with Classroom Champions. It's a fantastic organization that actually teams or pairs schools and classrooms with Olympians and Paralympians. So every month we are given a different topic, whether it be community or goal setting. And so we talk to the kids in a video about, goal setting and what that looks like for us. And then we leave them with a challenge. And in that month, they complete the challenge. And at the very end of the year, you actually go and meet all of your classrooms. And so, it was like, you want to talk about celebrity status. A lot of those kids don't know that I'm coming, and you walk into the classroom and they're just like, they've been seeing you by video all year. And then you walk in and they're just like mind blown that you have walked into their classroom. So it is such a cool experience, and it was really, really neat to be a part of that for 4 years.
Is that in Calgary as well, or do you have to travel for that?
So I would just make videos every month wherever I was, and then generally they'll team you up with classrooms in Saskatchewan or Alberta. I had a connection with a sponsor, Crescent Point Energy, so they would usually take or bring me out to the Crescent Point classrooms, or like the cities that are sponsored by Classroom or Crescent Point. But they're kind of everywhere. But it's all across North America now.
Very cool.
Yeah.
And you do how many like celebrity, or I guess not celebrity, but guest speaking arrangements do you do?
Yeah, I used to do a lot, 20 a year, if not more. And then I stopped speaking after my accident, or after my my finish at the 2018 games, because I just felt like my story no longer carried weight. And now I'm starting to do more of it again because I love it. I enjoy it. I've, spoke to obviously classrooms and crowds of 7,000, and it's I'm such a, believe it or not, I'm actually quite a bit of an introvert, but you put me on a stage and that just all changes.
That's pretty cool. I think you should still do it, because especially with what you're doing now, it's your story is still there. It's still an amazing story, and you're doing amazing things. So I think you should keep at it. Yeah. I like this post too, because I left the whole thing on there. I didn't know whether you just wanted to show the picture or not, but you were talking about being part of this show. Is it a fashion show?
Yeah, so this is Vancouver Fashion Week, actually. And cool, we came out of a yacht in Vancouver, right on the harbor. It was so neat. It was, our group of disabled runway models, and then you also had a bunch of able-bodied, but it was wearable, or no, this one was reusable clothing. So they actually took old sails and made our dresses and because there was males, our suits out of sails.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. And then the line, so All Else is the company I was just telling you about that makes the covers. So that cover is lining up with like maybe a number of a sailboat or something. But yeah, it just looks really, really neat. And I get to keep almost every cover that they make for me, but that one was special. I wasn't allowed to keep that one.
Very cool. Yeah, you can see your dress has actually kind of like the numbers from a sail or something on it.
Yeah,
but
it's a
yeah, pretty neat.
Yeah,
pretty neat. What does Alleles mean? It's Alleles. Does it translate to something?
I should ask Macaulay and Ryan that. I don't know, but yeah, Alleles Design Studio. I don't know. There has to be a meaning to it. Macaulay and Ryan are such incredible people. He was an architect, she was an industrial designer, and then they started this company. Neither of them are amputees, but them being who they are, there's probably some meaning there.
Sweet. Pretty cool. Here you are on the podium. This has got to be a good day for you.
Yeah, so I think might have been actually my first ever podium, which was at home in Canada, in Big White, outside of Kelowna. So,
right on. Not fair. The person with the one has got 2 legs.
She has them.
Okay, there you go.
But again, that's a controversial topic. We don't want to go there right now. Nicole, the one standing next to Cecile, the gold medalist, she is from France, and then Nicole is American. And Nicole, believe it or not, is actually an above the knee amputee.
Wow. Yeah, I think I can kind of see it on her right knee as well. Yeah. Very cool. Yeah. Are you still friends with all these girls?
So Nicole and I, maintained a really good friendship. We traveled many parts of the world together after. And I think the hardest part of retiring was like not seeing these people anymore, because they become your family. Even though we're all competitive, we're all just one big family at the end of the day.
Yeah, that's very neat. I bet, right? You must have been on the road a lot. Like, did the Olympics take you? It took you places, of course, but training and so forth. What would your day look like training and working out?
Yeah, we were gone about 7 to 10 months a year, depending on what season it was. If it was going into the Paralympics, then obviously we weren't home really at all. We'd wake up in the morning, we'd do a warm up, we'd hit the snow, we'd be on snow for 8 hours, and then we'd do like a recovery workout, we'd eat and we'd sleep. And we would do that 5 days a week, maybe 6 days a week, depending on, again, the season that we were in.
Wow. And like, once you're done, it must have been a shock to not have anything to do.
Yeah, it took me a long time to get back into the gym, just because the gym was a job for me. And even though I've always loved being in the gym, it was really tough. Like I kind of lost my motivation to work out and obviously to snowboard. And it was a change. But I think the hardest part of all of it was learning to become a high performance athlete at the age of 26. Often, they start so young with the Olympics. You're 10.
You're groomed from you're groomed from an early age, right?
Exactly. And I was at that phase in my life where I had a really good job at the time, and I had things figured out. And then to have someone like dictating my life and what I did every single day for a certain amount of time, and when I had days off and when I could work, because there was no funding in my sport. So I was paying $30,000 to $50,000 a year to be an athlete.
Wow.
For Canada. So I still had to work. I still did real estate. And, it was a lot for sure. I slept more after that than I did after last season.
Canada should have given you some tax breaks or something. I'm telling you.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. I love this picture. This is great on the beach. Another really cool cover.
Yeah, that's the one I'm wearing right now. Yeah, this was on my trip in Florida, which I just got back from about 3 weeks ago. Traveled 31 states, drove 21,000 kilometers, lived in a camper van for 4.5 months. Not for me. Van life is not for me. I was over it in like 2 weeks, but it was really cool. I brought my dog with me, and we had some really amazing adventures, and I was looking for accessible adventure spots. That was the goal, to find places where anybody could go, and came across some really neat places. Also some places that were not accessible.
That would be important. Like, do you tell people on YouTube? Do you vlog that, or do you have a blog that you educate people like that?
Yeah, I did. I did as much as I could on my travels, but the trip was quite hard on me. Like, it was 40 degrees in certain states. And for almost 2 months, it was unbearable. So Lenny and I couldn't really do much. You know, she's 8 years old, so my dog. So it was tough. It was really tough. Like being from, you know, Alberta, it's not really hot here. So to
No.
navigate with that, the trip wasn't quite what I thought it would be. So I didn't end up YouTubing as much. But if you go on my Instagram, Parashredder, you'll see like different clips from some of the things that I did, which is pretty cool.
That's very cool. Yeah, your Instagram is really good. We'll get into your handles in a second there. You have the same flip-flop on both feet. Like that's pretty cool looking.
Yeah, so there's my foot has it's hard to see, but there's a slit.
I love how you just go.
So there's a slit right here. So I can actually wear flip-flops. It just slides right through.
Very cool. Do they stay on, or are they prone to falling off?
Yeah, I have to put an elastic around the flip-flop to keep it on.
Yeah, or maybe Velcro would be a good thing too, right?
Yeah, something.
Yeah, that's wild. You have a lot of tattoos. You had mentioned your tattoos. Is there anything that in particular you want to talk about?
I have a tattoo on the inside of my arm. It says, "Life is tough, my darling, but so are you." And you know, it's a good reminder that like life has its ups and downs and its challenges, but I'm also tough too, and I can make it through. So that one is in a place where I can see it every day.
That's freaking awesome.
Yeah.
Add a girl. Here's your gun leg.
Did I send that one to you?
You did. You did.
Oh yeah. Well, that was a long time ago, but
so is this Halloween or what is this? Were you taking over a pirate ship or?
Pretty much. It was like still like, you know, it obviously the magazine was empty, but it was still charged. So I'd like pull the trigger and it'd be automatic, and you'd hear that no, and like everyone just be like, what is that noise? Like
that's awesome.
Yeah, it's pretty fun.
Yeah. So did you have that custom made, or can you go out and buy those?
No, you can't buy those. I was able to figure out how to attach it to my socket. It's not easy to walk in. It's pretty much impossible to walk in.
Well, that's like a pirate peg leg, right?
Yeah.
Now, do you stick something on the barrel to protect it?
No. I just use crutches when I walk with it.
Yeah, that's wild. That is wild. I want to go back to this one. You can see how your one leg is very muscular and your other, the other leg is not. How do you can't strengthen your thigh, I take it. How do you, is that all hip strength, or how do you strengthen yourself for riding and things like that?
Really don't. I rely more on the prosthetic, I think, than the muscle. So if you look, my socket looks like it's almost in line with my knee, but I have almost 10 inches of like skin and tissue because I was so swollen after my accident. Like I'm 12 or so inches above the knee. So
wow.
It's very deceiving. It looks like I have a lot of leg, but I actually don't. So I've strengthened what I can. When they amputate, they sew your front muscle and your back muscle like around your femur, and they sew it underneath your femur. But it can be tough to build that, especially when they have to cut into it and, put pins and stuff. So I work out as much as I can. I do my exercises when I can, but realistically, I just, like when I throw my leg over my sled, I'm literally just like using my body to like huck my leg over the sled.
Wow. That's insane. No, like you can't, it looks like you've got quite a bit of leg there. And like you said, you're right at the top, are you?
I have about this much hip or femur left still, but like it's maybe this much. It's not a lot. I am about to get revision surgery to finally, after 12 years, get all of that skin removed because I have no way to properly capture the femur. And so I walk not well at all just because there's no stability. There's so much skin and tissue in there that I've never had. And it's why I can't put weight through my prosthetic, because I just, because the femur is not making contact with anything, giving me that stability. So I'm going to get a lot of it removed. And when I do, then my sockets are going to end up being much shorter.
Nice. That's great. I love the pictures of you and your dog.
Yeah.
They're amazing. And we got a few of them coming up. This is great. What kind of dog is it?
Lenny's a boxer cross, maybe pit bull. We're not quite sure. I got her when she was 3.5 from the Humane Society, and she's like the most incredible dog. And I'm sure everybody says that, but there is something very special to her. She had a rough life before me, and so she is so loving. She loves to cuddle. She'll whine until you cuddle with her. But she's just stays right next to me. Will not wander. Just, pretty awesome.
You know, it's crazy. Like, cause I've only had boxer crosses, right? I've had a boxer and American bulldog, and now I've got a boxer Rottweiler cross.
Yeah.
They pull like mad. Like, doesn't Lenny pull you over?
I just don't walk her. I take her to dog parks or take her to a field and throw her the ball. Cause even at her age to this day, like she doesn't, I have a vest for her, like a therapy PTSD vest, because she's actually certified. She went and did training, so she's certified. But she has a job, and that's knowing when I have panic attacks. And so she'll sit down. But when she puts her vest on, she's really good. When she doesn't have her vest on, she's just a maniac. So it's cool that she can just like turn it off.
That is wild.
Yeah.
I would, and that's the thing, I'd never think of a boxer being part of a dog like that, because they really just have a mind of their own.
Yeah.
Right. This is a great shot of you skydiving. Awesome.
I'm so glad I sent you this picture. So that's my friend Erin in the back. She's trying to learn how to sit fly, which is what I'm doing, and it's not going well.
Yeah, leaning back a bit too far, is she?
She's actually, the video, she's completely out of control. But she knows how to go back to her belly and be stable. So that's like the first thing they teach us when trying anything else is you can always go back to your belly and be stable. But a lot of people are like, I don't know if you're going to be able to learn how to sit fly. It's going to be super hard with one leg. And now I can sit fly, no problem. So
that's cool. Cause you use your leg as a wind kind of, ailerons or whatever, what have you, but rudders. That's kind of neat. How high are you jumping from?
13,000 feet usually.
Right on. And you're pulling your own chutes. They're not automatic.
Yeah, I have 102 jumps. So I have my B license, which is one of the higher ratings that you can get in skydiving, and I can jump with as many people as I want. But yeah, I'm fully on my own. I have almost 6 hours. Oh no, I have 6 hours now in the indoor skydive tunnel at iFly in Calgary. And, I'm pretty confident flying my body. If, it ever push came to shove and I was pushed out of a plane with a parachute on, of course, I'd be able to no problem.
That's cool. And are you running glider chutes, or are you running the traditional, just the regular chute that drops you straight down?
So the rounds are more of like a military thing, like a paratrooper thing. It's like kind of similar to a speed wing. Maybe a paragliding wing is a bit different, but yeah, we just use like a more of a rectangle. Oh my gosh.
Rectangle. Yeah, that's right. And so you have control of where you're going and where you're landing.
Oh yeah, for sure. Like they're very, very forgiving and responsive. You use your toggles and your brake levers. For me, I really didn't think I'd ever be able to do a standing landing just because people always run it out and I can't do that. But I've had quite a few, actually like my last 10 landings, I've stood up, no problem, just landed on one leg. So it's coming.
Yeah, that's cool. Did you skydive before the accident? No,
I did my first skydive June 27th, 2022. Yeah. 2022.
Yeah.
So
wow. So pretty fresh.
Yeah.
Very fresh. How did you learn to land?
Oh, they
Like,
teach
that's
you
gotta
all
be
the,
tough.
well, that's what I was,
That's,
yeah, well, that's what I was saying. Like I slide in on my butt, but you don't want to break your tailbone or become paralyzed if you hit the ground hard enough. So I figured it out. I do like this weird like side slide. But lately I've been landing on one leg, just like coming in perfect flare. And I just like whoop, up on one leg.
nice. Are
Yeah.
you worried about injuring yourself again or that type of thing? Does that always on your mind?
I actually just sold my rig, my skydive rig. I'm not 100% sure if I'm going to keep skydiving. I just have seen a lot. I've done a lot of canopy courses and I love the skydiving part of it. But I've had someone almost fall into my canopy because they were in my run. And I had a pretty hard landing the last time when I was in Arizona jumping. And yeah, with skydiving, there's a risk like canopies stall and they essentially deflate and you fall to the ground. There's a lot of people I know that have severely injured themselves or died. And so I'm going to put my focus into the indoor skydive tunnel for right now and just become really confident flying my body and then might make a transition back to the sky.
Well, that's cool. The indoor skydiving is kind of a hobby in itself, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, it is.
Yeah,
And
like
it's just as fun.
yeah. Oh, that's what I've heard too. So, I'd love the skydive. I've never done it. I know a guy that did it. One of my customers years ago, and he always said that you just got to do it. He said it's an amazing feeling, and it's such a rush, and that's why people do it. But it's darn hard to get life insurance when you're doing stuff like that.
Oh, I know. But it's super, super safe. And like anybody who just heard me say that I'm worried about that hurting myself, as a solo skydiver, I'm worried about hurting myself. If you do a tandem, it is incredibly safe. Like you will be fine jumping with somebody because you have someone that has done hundreds, if not thousands of skydives and knows how to react in every situation. You have a much bigger canopy, you have a reserve, you have all of that. So if you're thinking about skydiving, just know it is super safe. You're probably, the odds are that you would, become injured or potentially die like crossing the road than, you would, skydiving. So I think everybody should try it. You don't get that 0G feeling that everybody thinks you do, like that roller coaster feeling. You don't get that.
No, but it's the rush of I think it's the fear of something potentially happening before you pull that chute that is the adrenaline rush that gets you, right?
It's like I'll never forget that day was my 10-year anniversary of my accident. So it was 2 years ago, and I was already so emotional from that day that I had nothing left in me. So when I went up and did my tandem, I was just like, whatever. And then you're sitting on somebody and he's like, okay, like get ready to go. And he's like 3, 2, and then goes, and you're just falling out of a plane. Like you still get that zero gravity feeling for the first like 5 seconds and then it goes away. But it is just wild. Like for the first 50 jumps that I did, I would black out like the first 5 seconds because I was so nervous of jumping out of a plane.
Well, I think that would be the cool part. I don't know. Here's how awesome my fans are. Nathan M says, I had a buddy of mine from the Army that lost his limb that I skydived with. It's super safe and a lot of fun. Everyone should do it.
Yeah, I totally agree. Once you start going down to smaller canopies and stuff, that's obviously where, and you start like swooping and things, that's where it gets dangerous. But guys, go and jump, like do a tandem. And if you love it, go and get your solo license and just listen to your instructors. But everybody needs to skydive at least once in their life.
That's very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is a shot I use as a thumbnail. What a great shot.
Yeah. Yeah, that's
is this your current sled or is this your old sled?
That's my last year's sled. Now,
did you get the big gauge on the new one?
Yeah, I did. I'm I'm really excited. It was so cool the other day. It was really socked in and couldn't see anything. And I was leading the group because nobody had been there before. And to like be able to look down and to see where I need to go, like with the navigation, I was like, this is the best thing ever.
Yeah, that I know. I love the big gauge, and I think that seeing your buddies too, like if all your friends are riding that, you'll be able to see their dots on the screen. And you talked about safety, right? It all plays into that.
Yeah, we don't have that in the backcountry because I believe that you need service for that. So I can't speak to what's happening.
Oh, we know what's happening. We know.
I would think that, of it, like Skidoo is going to get there. Polaris is obviously already there. So it's only a matter of time. And it would be really amazing to see like all three of companies, if they could just like get together and come up with a system so everybody could see everyone, right? Like it doesn't have to be specific. Like that would be, in terms of safety, that would be the best thing for everyone, I believe.
That's very true, right? It's kind of like an avalanche beacon to some degree, especially on a mountain sled, right?
Yeah. So
Bobby O says, Michelle's so boring. Gary, can you have a more adventurous person on next time? You get that a lot, I take it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So no, that's very cool. No, and that's I seen forums talking about the find your buddy and stuff on the Ski-Doo Dash. I'm thinking like my 10 1/4 gauge does that. And then now you say it, it's like I take it for granted that we have cell connection, and it'll enough connection, even if we're in and out of it, it'll still load the map, right?
Yeah.
It'll still.
Yeah, I've heard that there's I haven't, at least I wasn't able to see anybody. I had a pretty good run through from my dealer because this is the first year that I've had the gauge. So I had a pretty good run through and was told, but also, I don't know, maybe there's a trick to it if you're able to connect to like satellite. I don't know how that works. All I know is that I can see the navigation part of it, the map, and like the trailhead, which has already come in handy. So yeah, next step would be being able to see everyone, but I'm sure I can get clarification on that from Skidoo too, but I'm still learning. I only have 3 rides on my sled in 3 days, like playing around with the screen. So I still have a lot of figuring out to do.
Well, that's the Corey Brock comments. He says you can download the areas first. So you can, on Wi-Fi, you can zoom out of the area that you're riding. So it loads it all in, and then you have your maps working. But I don't think that would still do your real time showing your buddies on the gauge. Because you need.
But I did not download anything. I just plugged my phone in, and I was still able to see the map from, like, I was up at Frisbee and Revelstoke, and I was still able to see the trail.
Yeah, sweet. Do you trailer your sleds to BC, or do you leave them, or Revelstoke's in Alberta, but do you leave them at the lodge, or are you a trailer girl? Or
so
a sled deck?
Yeah, Revelstoke's in BC. I leave my sled out there, but I'm actually going tomorrow to pick it up, to bring it back, because there are other areas. Like Revelstoke was the only place that got decent snow last year, so I just left my sled out there. And I had a spare sled last year too, so I just kind of leave it out there for people to use my spare sled. But this year, I don't run a deck. I have a little Chevy Colorado with a long box, and I just throw that thing in my sled or in my truck and just go wherever the snow is.
That's wild. What else is your favorite piece of equipment when you're out in the mountains?
My favorite piece of equipment. Heated goggles.
Oh, sweet.
I love the Skidoo goggles. Absolutely. But I am the kind of person, like, I've broken my nose so many times that my nose is just crooked and broken. And so goggles just don't fit my face. And so if I don't wear heated goggles, I'm fogged within 15 seconds. I can't see all day. And it doesn't matter what goggles it is. It's just my face.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So
heated goggles.
You've had more stuff broken everywhere. You're a hot mess, girl.
I am very much so. Yeah.
There you are. You're just shoveling snow out the front of the track there.
Yeah, that was me figuring out how to get my sled around. And I was so happy at the very end of the season. Like Ashley Chafin, I rode with her a couple of years ago before I was even on Skidoo. So I guess a few seasons ago. And she had said, like, you know, when you're first learning to go into, you know, the let's say re-entries, turnouts, whatever people call them, kind of go in at an angle because it's not so intimidating. Because last year I mouse trapped myself and it was the scariest thing that I've ever done on my sled when my sled came back on me. But well, the snow was just so deep that it was so hard for the, I ended up falling into the trench and I was fine. But you know, these sleds, they're just amazing and they want to go around. So that was me finally getting my sled around to go right back to where I came up.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
How many tries do you think you take to figure that one out?
So I jumped on someone else's sled last year because the snow was so thick that again, that's when the turbo comes in handy. And on a turbo my third try, I got it back around, completely back around. And then it's a scary feeling when you get it back around. And I was like, I freaked out and I just let the sled go and I just jumped off. So that time it took me 3 times. And then it was the first try. After that, it was the first try when I tried it again. So we'll see. I'm going to continue working on it because it can come in handy when you're in like a technical area, you're in the trees and you're like, oh no, there's nowhere to go. I got to turn my sled around. Like it's a good move for sure.
That's cool. Just Fly Low says he's got to run. Great show, Gary. Michelle, you're awesome, he says.
Thank you.
Here you are wake surfing. That's awesome.
Yeah. Those are not my middle fingers.
Whoa, what fingers are they?
Thumbs, definitely thumbs.
Oh, I think it is 2 thumbs up there.
Yeah,
that's great. The Trudeau salute. Yeah. How difficult is this? You're behind a boat. How difficult is it to get up on that board?
So I'm buckled in the back leg. It's in like a snowshoe binding.
Like a wakeboard binding, is it?
Yeah.
Like a wakeboard binding?
Well, yeah. I used wakeboard bindings, but I found they were too like bulky and thick. So I went to something smaller, and I have like a snowboard binding on another one, but it took me a lot of tries. And to this day at wakeboard speeds, on a wakeboard, I can't get up. It has to be a wake surfboard. I nosedive a lot just because I put all of my weight on my front. So still I nosedive, but I can stay up. I can do tricks. I've been learning 360s. I can clear the wake and stuff. So
do you think that like with snowboarding, were you always goofy foot? Like that's goofy foot, right? Right foot forward? That's goofy foot.
Yeah, that might be goofy. I'm regular on a snowboard.
So you're left foot forward on a snowboard.
That's regular.
No, you were right. That's regular? Okay.
Yeah, that's regular.
Did you ever think about learning the other way?
Yeah, so I've seen most of the above the knee amputee guys who compete are prosthetic in the front. And they have different challenges. You know, for me, like quick roller sections are so difficult because I don't have like the strength to go down and quickly get back up. Whereas when you have your back leg essentially as your power leg and your pivot leg, then it's a lot different. They can do things a lot quicker because they're not as worried about that front leg having to bend. But, you know, in toe turns and certain things, they maybe, and jumping, they have a bit more of a challenge with that. So I don't know. I've tried it. It's not pretty by any means.
Yeah, I think there's a trick to that too, right?
Yeah.
Rob the Oil God says, Gary, bottle up some of that energy for me. Talking about you.
Oh, yeah. Oh, this is fun. This is me doing my stretches and tree wells.
Yeah, doing some sit-ups just because you need to, right?
Yeah.
Now your sled looks like that's probably the back end is down in the well as well with you.
Yeah, that happens. I am a tree magnet. So I just started like really seriously riding trees in the last couple of years. And so it happens. It happens.
Yeah, oh yeah, for sure. I've seen a friend of ours in town here. He goes out west all the time, and he's been in wells that are taller than him, standing in them, looking up, and it's like pretty crazy.
Yeah, it's scary.
So when you're in this position, does your buddies just come up and grab you and just like ragdoll you out of the hole?
Yeah, because
wow.
my foot's like that. Obviously, that's my good foot out front. But my prosthetic, like I can't bend it. I can't, even for me walking anywhere, I need to be able to have leverage to push into the prosthetic. So if I don't have that, if I'm sitting down, then often people grab just like my pack and just lift me up and like push me. Or me like grabbing onto a tree or my sled to pull myself up. I end up using a lot of my arms when I sled.
Does the socket ever come unplugged?
Oh, last year I kept breaking it's a lanyard. So I wear like a liner. It's like a sock that goes over my leg. And then at the very bottom, there's like a threaded hole. So the lanyard like threads into that hole that's how it attaches to the socket. So actually, yeah, well, I was going to go grab it, but
you can go grab it if you want.
But it breaks. It breaks a lot, and it's super frustrating. So this is a socket. This is my spare socket. But see this? So I wear a liner that I thread this into, but this is just rope.
Oh,
so
okay.
I'm pinned underneath my sled, and I try and pull my leg out. Most of the time, that snaps. And then I have absolutely no way of keeping my leg on. So,
because that'll give you a little bit of movement in the socket, does it?
No, it's just to like get my leg all the way down into the socket. That's the point of that.
I got you.
When it's actually on, this is all the way in, all the way down. So there was a lot of like getting BOA kits last year because it's a BOA system. Like I actually have BOAs in my socket.
So it actually ratchets it. Nice.
Yeah. So now it's down all the way. So there was a lot of like rushing to, the local ski or snowboard shop to get a BOA repair kit so that I could ride the next day.
That's wild, man. Like you don't think about little things like that, right?
Yeah.
So this is another stock. Are they all pushing that sled back?
Yeah. Everybody has different ways of getting unstuck and different strategies. I have like one group of friends that are all about rolling the sled. Like it doesn't matter if it's on flat surface. They're like, we need to roll it. And I was like, oh, so often like it's kind of hard to argue with men. So I just let them do their thing, and let's be honest, they usually know more than I do. So I'm like, you guys can do the work. I'll take the picture in this case. But I've got really good at getting myself unstuck. And I tend to I'll always do the groundwork before the people get to me. I'll pack the snow around the track and I'll, pack it in the belly and do what I can so that it's just an easy ski pull by the time they get to me. Like, I'm not one to just sit around and wait for people to get me unstuck. But this this one, yeah.
I love it.
That happens.
Yeah, Massart says he says you gotta roll it, LOL.
Yeah, I know.
And I said, I know a guy that rolls it on flat land when he's stuck.
Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
My daughter rolled one of our trail sleds on a hill climb, and it was stuck against a tree, and I had to roll it down the hill because it was the easiest way for me to get it out, and I bent the freaking handlebar on it.
Oh yeah, that happens.
Because we don't have 4 feet or 8 feet of snow. It was low snow, so yeah.
Yeah, there's a strategy to rolling on the hill too, and like making sure that your sled isn't getting away from you, and like yard sailing everywhere, right? But I see I sent you all of my stuck pictures.
This is awesome though. That's what though, but you're not hiding behind it. Like that's all mountain sledding is getting stuck, you know. It's, you know, you see these free rider videos and the guy's riding for what appears to be an hour, you know, without getting any problems at all. And, you know, the reality is right here. That's what I love about this.
You know, and the truth is, like, I keep telling everybody this, that there's riding, and you know, you have areas, meadows where you're like riding and you're consistently riding. But the reality of backcountry snowmobiling is you're getting your exercise because you're doing a lot of ski pulling and, you know, boot packing and shoveling. And that is backcountry snowmobiling. And even the best of the best get stuck. Even they end up in like tricky situations where they're going to need help. If you're riding with a group of 3 people, be prepared to be getting everyone unstuck, especially on the deep days are the worst. Those are the days where everyone is just consistently stuck. But once you start riding and you actually get like 5 minutes in, you're like, this is the most incredible thing. But then you're stuck.
How deep was it this day that we're looking at?
Well, you can't really see my sled.
No, you can't.
I'm 5'6", to give you some context. I'm 5'6", and it's probably up to my waist. So
it looks past your waist. It looks like it's part way up that backpack.
Yeah, you know? That was my first ride of the season too. So we got a lot of snow last season, and I think this was maybe end of November. But yeah, those are the ones where you get the shovels out, unfortunately, because it's gonna be a lot of snow to get around. Yeah. No,
that's cool. Well, that's the thing. What's the winter shaping up like this year out there?
We haven't got
same as here, not very good. Yeah.
We just haven't got much of it, but
kind of sad, you know. So someone was asking what helmet you wear. There it is right there.
Yeah.
It's gotta be Skidoo.
Yeah, it's Skidoo. I do have like a carbon fiber helmet that I also wear too. That's not Skidoo, but I really like what Skidoo has done. You know, that's super affordable helmet that is still quite lightweight and reliable and keeps me nice and warm. So yeah, that was my get up from last year, and loved that suit as well. Skidoo is really up there, like their outerwear in terms of like style, and you have Sympatex and Cordera now. So it's very, very similar to 2B suits where, you know, you have the same materials. So, you know, if you put them hand in hand, they're quite competitive. So I'm really digging their new BC series outerwear.
Nice. I love how everything from accessories, like someone had mentioned the Link accessories earlier, right from snowmobiles to accessories to clothing now. They've dialed it all in. It's all really nice stuff. Yeah. They have a great team in Valcor that are making things happen. Yeah, for sure. That's a Pyra helmet, right? Yeah, that's the Pyra. Yeah. The Pyra. Yeah, it's pretty good. Yeah. Oh, there's the dog again. Love it. That is every single day. As much time as I'll give her, she will literally do this all day. That's cool. I love it. Yeah, the boxers are like that too. So, and are you showing off your finger tattoo here? No, is that what this picture was? You're just reflecting? I think I accidentally sent you that one. Oh. I have no idea. That doesn't seem. I don't take a lot of selfies, so I have no idea where that picture came from. Yeah. Well, we'll just move on then. This is cool. Are you jumping out is this a Sky Zone? Is it? This is a Sky. This is an old military plane where the back comes up. You have this big door that comes up, and I'm not jumping. I am getting thrown out. So one person has my arms and the other person has my legs, and they're doing like this, and then they just toss me out. Wow, that would be cool. Yeah. And then you got to figure out, you got to turn yourself around the right way and everything like that. Yeah. Well,
if you're arched and like in the proper position, I came right out. They tossed me out and I was right to my belly automatically the second they tossed me out.
Very cool.
I learned how to fly my body over the, the jumps that I've done.
How fast is the airplane going at that speed?
I actually have no idea. They do slow down quite a bit, but the Skyvan, because of like the speed that it's going and also the shape of it, there's a dead spot. So when you come out of the Skyvan, you get that 0G feeling. So it's a little intimidating at first. And if you're not prepared for it, it will toss you. You'll like go into like cartwheels.
Yeah. Jacob Massart says, adrenaline, you must be high. Do you get an adrenaline high?
Oh yeah. Well, and I think for me, the adrenaline part of it now is like knowing, okay, I'm at 5,000 feet. I have to split off from the group. I have to make sure that, no one's around me when I open my canopy, because the last thing you want is two people opening their canopies at the same time and then colliding. But it's when you're falling, you're looking to the horizon. So you don't realize that you're actually falling from the sky, right? Falling towards the ground. And I think it was my checkout, when you do your solo license, you do 9 jumps, and you at your last 10th jump is like your checkout, your graduation jump. And that was the first time that I ever looked down. And I was like, whoa, like this is crazy. I am falling so fast. But when you're skydiving, you're jumping with other people, it's weird. You don't really realize that, you're falling until you're under canopy and you're having to split off and track away from each other. Then the adrenaline kicks in. You're like, oh, like just let's hope this goes well.
But that's the thing. Because of the height too, it doesn't feel like you're falling. I mean, the closer to the ground, it would seem faster as well, right? Relative.
Yeah, but it's weird because when I did hop and pops and I did a canopy course and we would jump at 5,000, we would open our canopy right away. I actually was more, I enjoyed that more, and I felt a lot more safe doing hop and pops because I was closer to the ground.
Sweet. Yeah, right. That's funny. Even though you're closer to the ground.
Yeah, you have less time to make decisions. Yeah.
Yeah. Very cool. There's the dog again.
Yeah.
Pretty wild.
I don't remember sending you any of these pictures. I think I might have sent you some.
Maybe you sent me your whole camera roll. Yeah. Is this? No, you didn't. Are these your children?
I don't need to send you any of these pictures.
Really? Wow. There we go. There's a skidoo.
There we go. Yeah. So that was my turbo. That was my turbo expert. That was the sled that got me into a lot of trouble. Yeah.
Now, the wrap, is it meaningful for you, or did you add that wrap?
Yeah, no? I don't wrap anymore. Too much work.
Yeah.
I love the way sleds look with wraps, but no.
I hear you.
Yeah.
There we are. Tips up again.
Yeah.
It looks like you're very comfortable on that.
Yeah.
That's actually a light blue. That's a backcountry, is it?
No, that's my spare sled.
Is it?
That was a 17850, I believe. That's what it looks like.
Yeah, it is a Gen 4. Yeah.
Yeah. That thing was fun. The thing had some jam to it.
The 850 is a lot of power.
Yeah.
I mean, you're in elevation though, so that kind of changes the rules a bit, right? Yeah. That's where the turbo, kind of evens the playing field, so to speak.
Yeah. So this was before I was signed with Skidoo, but so this would be my second season, and it was so interesting because I had been riding like quite a bit, almost every weekend for those 2 seasons. And then it was at the end of my second season that I met Ashley Chafin and rode with her. Or I think it was my 3rd season actually. And she's like, oh, so, you know, when you're side hilling, do you touch your brake? And I'm like, I don't touch my brake at all. Like my finger is rarely on my brake. And she's like, what? She's like, that is what sets your track. That's what allows you to kind of stay where you are and to consistently, you know, side hill without it washing out, which, you know, sleds do. So the second I was able to figure that out and dial in, now I'm always like feathering my brake. And it was incredible. Like there was a group of women in this valley, and I was riding, and, you know, I come down, they're like, how do you do that? And I was like, brake, it's all brake. I had surprised myself for sure, but it was crazy the difference that it made.
She's got some really good video series on side hilling, and she does that brap brake, and it like I tried it, and it works amazing. Yeah, she's amazing. She's a great rider and explains things very simple in its simplest form.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
What kind of things do you carry in your backpack?
Well, I have a tunnel bag. I don't know if you saw the video of me putting a toaster oven in my tunnel bag, which legitimately, yeah, like the new Skidoo tunnel bag from last year fits literally, like I had steaks and eggs and frying pans. I had everything in that tunnel bag. It fits everything. So I bring everything. I don't put a lot in my bag. I have like a first aid kit. I have a survival kit, extra sock, toque, you know, jacket, puffy, but I put a lot in my tunnel bag. I don't care as much about the weight. And I want everything that is needed to be able to spend the night in the backcountry. So
if you had to, yeah.
So I am willing to sacrifice, like, I don't know, that weight just to have everything that we would need should my group end up spending the night out there.
Yeah, sweet.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a great side hill shot there.
Yeah.
I love when you get up in the top of the mountains, how the trees get so sparse and thin, and it's pretty amazing.
Yeah. Yeah, it's you know, like I said, I started riding trees in the last couple of years, and it's intimidating, but with the new sleds, it is incredible. Like I love T-motion, and I have to say that, and this is my honest opinion, I truly believe that backcountry snowmobilers, like at least 65% of sledders should be on a Skidoo with T-motion, because it just works so well. Given I understand why people lock them out for side hilling and things like that, but you know, side hill, like T-motion is just, it was designed for a reason, and it really is in our favor, especially for anybody that's maybe on like the lighter side or the beginner side, because it really allows for the sled to just go where we want it to go. Like we put very minimal input in to get the sled on its side. And I rode the free ride last year, or an expert last year that had locked out T-motion for like 5 minutes. And I was like, this isn't for me. This is perfect for you, but this isn't for me. I need that. And, you know, riding trees, like I just like hip, my sled's just like turning. And it was incredible. I was riding things I never thought that I'd be able to ride with the 34-inch front and that, you know, that T-motion. Yeah. I love it.
Yeah, very cool. Very cool. How do people keep in touch with you and follow you? You want to shout out your socials there?
Sure. So Instagram is Para Shredder. So PARA Shredder, or just look up Michelle Salt. And then I have Facebook as well, an athlete page on Facebook, which is under Michelle Salt.
Very cool. Well, I appreciate your time tonight. I won't keep you any longer than this, but that was a great show. You're an inspiration. I think, like I said, I think every young girl should meet you, and everybody going through what you went through. It's an incredible story, an incredible journey, and you mastered it. Just keep doing what you're doing, Michelle. You're amazing.
Thank you. And
really
thank you for having me on. This is great.
No problem. I want to wish you Merry Christmas, and thank you for joining us on our 100th episode. And everybody in the chat, thanks for keeping the show alive again. And we'll be off for a couple weeks, but we'll be back on the first Monday of January 2024. Corey says, awesome show. Keep it up. You're an inspiration. and more people be chiming in as we move forward here. But thank you again, Michelle. We'll definitely be in touch. Just before I'm going to run the credits, but just stay online until you'll see it download to me, and then once it's finished downloading, then you can exit out. But we can have a chat off the air too. So there we go. Yeah, thank you, everybody. I hope everybody has a very Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays, and we look forward to seeing you in episode 101. Can't wait.
It's a journey for